Welcome back. All right. So yesterday, when playing our street hockey and all that fun stuff, went about 3 hours. I'm always impressed that I can still walk the day after that, especially after I took a shot off the thigh and I got one in the chest. But anyways, we were talking in between all of the guys getting hit about free agents. That came up, and there were a few conversations about who was still available and who wasn't. And I thought, in the moment, it'd be fun to take a look at this point. We're a few weeks out from training camp. Take a look at who's still available, likely to get professional tryouts, and you can let me know in the comment section below who you think is going to get one. And if you even want to, come back later, don't edit your comment. People know when you've edited the comment, but just predict who you think's going to get the PTO from who. So again, professional tryout meaning you go into camp, you don't have a job, you don't have a contract yet, but they're giving you an opportunity to earn that contract. So at the top of the board, we have Evan Rodrigues coming off of a career year. And I think that's why he's still a free agent. It was a career year. 19 goals, 24 assists, 43 points over 82 games, and he's 28 years of age. So that's also a bit of a red flag. And I only say that because what you're getting in Rodrigues probably is not going to be a 19 goal scorer this season. You're probably getting a guy who might score 10. Maybe he gets up to 15. He had a nice run there. He was playing very well. Best hockey of his career in Pittsburgh. But at this stage, if you pick him up, you're not likely to get that. And I'm not going to say you can't. I'm not going to say he can't repeat those numbers, but in all likelihood, he probably doesn't. Right underneath him, you have Sonny Milano. Sonny Milano was quite surprising that Anaheim didn't give him a qualifying offer, and yet he's still a free agent. He's only 26 years of age, 66 games, 14 goals, 20 assists, 34 points. His production's good. The advanced stats crowd like him. But apparently general managers, either they don't, or the general managers that would like to sign Milano don't have the cap space. That being said, it's been long enough into free agency that I think you could probably get Milano for pretty cheap price overall. I would expect somebody to pick up Milano. But there are times where guys who are maybe advanced stats darlings and just, players with good stats end up being out of the league. It does happen. Sam Gagner, older player than the first two I've talked about here. 81 games, 13 goals, 18 assists, 31 points, 32 years of age. And for Gagner, we'll see what happens with him. 32 is not old by NHL standards, but again, in a league where you've got so many teams that are cap-strapped at this point, Gagner may have to wait a little while in order to get that contract. And it'll be interesting to see, because to me, these are the three. If you want to call them the big ones on the board, I would say Rodrigues, Milano, Gagner. Those are the three who could end up playing top 9 minutes, who could end up, in Rodrigues' case, stepping into top 6. Milano as well, in injury situations, could step into top 6. And Gagner can do a little bit of special teams work as well. And then it drops off a bit to Tyler Ennis. 57 games, 8 goals, 16 assists, 24 points. He's also 32 years of age. So we'll see with Ennis whether or not he gets signed, what kind of contract. There are always players that will stay unsigned as the season gets started, and some of them get signed in November, December, as teams run into injury issues. Anton Stralman, the first defenseman on the list, 74 games played last year, 8 goals, 15 assists, 23 points. Not a terrible season, but he's 35 years of age. The offensive side of his game has slipped a little bit from where it was in his prime, and it'd be interesting to see if somebody gave him a contract. I haven't heard about him signing in Europe. At this point, at 35 years of age, I would not be surprised to see Stralman end up in Europe as well. A lot of European-born players end up finishing their career there, and that's perfectly fine. Alex Chiasson, who had a rough start to the season. There were a lot of Canuck fans that wanted him gone. Then second half of the season, he played a lot better. There was a lot of, hey, we need to bring Chiasson back. They haven't, and nobody else has picked him up yet either. 67 games, 13 goals, 9 assists, 22 points. He is 31 years of age. I wouldn't rule out a tryout from the Canucks for Chiasson. He has had tryouts that he's made it to teams before. I believe Edmonton was the other tryout he had. I know there's multiple tryouts. And I'm pretty sure for Chiasson, that's how he got his job with the Canucks last season, was as a tryout. It wasn't initially as a contract. Because I seem to remember him being frustrated with the fact that, these tryouts. And it has to be frustrating that you're going into a situation where you're going into training camp, you don't have a contract, you're playing against guys who do, and you're trying to convince the boss to give you a contract, And so you have to kind of try to stand out, but you also have to play your game. So we'll see if Chiasson gets another tryout and if he earns himself another job. PK Subban, one of the more talked about players on the board. 77 games, 5 goals, 17 assists, 22 points. He's 33 years of age. Absolutely has lost a step from where he was in his prime. But his points totals aren't awful, and on a third pairing, I think he can be a good pickup. I'm kind of surprised he's not signed to a contract yet. And yes, in the event that PK Subban doesn't sign a contract anywhere, I would expect he'll end up either with Sportsnet and working on Sportsnet's panel somewhere, or on ESPN and on a panel with ESPN somewhere. Very well spoken and, very likable guy. And I would be very surprised if he doesn't stick around the game in that capacity if he doesn't get a contract this year. Jonathan Dahlen, one of the bigger surprises amongst the players on this board outside of Milano. I would say Dahlen was a surprise as well. And again, it's because he was a restricted free agent, and so you would just expect that San Jose would give him a qualifying offer. 24 years of age in 61 games, 12 goals, 10 assists, 22 points. From a Canuck perspective, again, Canuck fans, I think, can stop worrying about Dahlen coming back to haunt them. Dahlen had a good start to the season for San Jose, but he definitely faded in the second half, and it's clear that San Jose decided to move forward without him being a part of their plans moving forward. So we'll see if Dahlen gets another opportunity. Again, he's 24, so he's one of the younger players on the board. There's still that potential, but the fact that he's not signed yet leans into the idea that he's probably either headed back to Europe or maybe gets a tryout. Brian Boyle, the oldest on the board at 37, 66 games last year, 11 goals, 10 assists, 21 points. And again, I would not be surprised to see Boyle get signed during the season. That's happened with him before. And he can be a good fourth-line center, veteran player. And I didn't think he hurt the last few teams he's played for. But he does stay as a free agent for a while. So we'll see whether or not Boyle gets signed. And in the event this was the end of a career for him, that's absolutely that'd be a great career video, Boyle's, because he has gone around the league a lot, and so it'd be a fun video to look at if in fact his career does come to an end. Victor Rask, 29 years of age, 47 games, 9 goals, 12 assists, 21 points. I thought he was better for Seattle than he had been for Minnesota prior to that, but clearly did not make enough of an impression on Ron Francis for Francis to bring him back. Or Francis made him an offer, and Rask wasn't happy with the offer, one way or the other, right? So for Rask, a player who has been good at times in his career, again, 29 years of age, does somebody give him a chance? We'll see. And then right beneath him, Alex Galchenyuk, and I said a couple times this year, and I still think, I get the feeling that as a National Hockey League player, this might have been his last chance to really show that he could belong. So he went back to Arizona where he'd had success previously, and in 60 games had 6 goals, 15 assists, 21 points, and he's 28 years of age. So he's no longer at an age where a team's going to pick him up thinking, well, maybe it'll develop. Maybe he'll get back to basically once a player's in their late 20s, what you see is likely what you're going to get. There are examples of players who've had really good career years in their late 20s or early 30s, but in Galchenyuk's case, I don't think that's going to happen. That being said, been wrong before, wouldn't mind being wrong again. Daniel Sprong, one that I'm a little bit surprised that Seattle didn't keep around, because after Sprong got to Seattle, he did what he can do, which is put the puck in the net. In 63 games this past year, 14 goals, 6 assists, 20 points, and he's 25 years of age. So I was mildly surprised Seattle didn't keep him around, but when you look at the additions Seattle made in the offseason, clearly Ron Francis had a game plan here, and Sprong was not a part of it. But when you've got a player that can put the puck in the net, and he is in his mid-20s, teams will call. I'd be kind of surprised if he doesn't get some sort of a tryout. Sam Steele, 24 years of age for Sam Steele, and another one of those restricted free agents, not offered a contract. I think that was the case with Sprong too. I'm trying to, Sprong being 25, it's possible it's the case with Sprong too, that he wasn't offered a qualifying offer and went to market. But for Steele, in 68 games, 6 goals, 14 assists, 20 points. And I was really hopeful for Sam Steele for years with the Anaheim Ducks, but it just didn't click. And for the Ducks, even though they're still, going through the rebuild and all that, they have some forwards coming in, and I think they decided that for Steele, that ship had sailed. At age 24, with the fact that he was a first-round draft pick, it is possible that a team looks at that and says, yeah, we'll throw him a tryout. Maybe a team that's over the cap. Maybe a team that's looking for a younger forward that can play bottom 6 minutes. And so we'll see. But it really is down to the stages now where the bigger names are done. That's basically finished. The restricted free agent market is almost done, it feels like, but there are some guys still out there. Sandin, of course, coming to mind in Toronto. Doc in Montreal, another one that comes to mind. But we'll see if this all gets straightened out by the time training camp starts. And training camp for most teams is started by September 15th. So we're not that far off, and we'll see how many of these players get signed. So that's the challenge. Which one of these players gets a tryout, or which one of these players gets a contract, and from whom? Or who would you like to see Brian Boyle end up with? Where would you like to see Chiasson end up? Or where would suit Evan Rodrigues the best in order to have him get close to that career high of 43 points and 19 goals? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.